Let's talk Tanya for the 2nd of Tishrei, the second day of Rosh Hashanah of a leap year. In yesterday's Tanya, we explained that the 10 attributes of the world of Atzilus, they create something from nothing, and that is because they are absolutely united with the infinite light of God, and creation of something from nothing is only within the power and the capability of the infinite God. And the question that we ended off with is, but what do we even mean when we say something from nothing? Is there really something other than Hashem? Don't we know that Einid Milvadi, there's nothing other than Hashem? There's Hashem, and there is His creative powers, and everything is simply an extension of God's creative powers. And today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe lays down a very important foundation in terms of understanding what creation really is and what it's all about. It's not from the perspective of God. From God's perspective, from His vantage point, everything is Him, and everything is simply an extension of His creative powers. When we say that there is creation something from nothing, we mean that an entity is created which from its perspective, it views itself as something independent, as having its own identity. And to understand this better, the Alter Rebbe contrasts this with another system, you might say, of creation, which is called Ila va'olul, which means cause and effect. And by the way, that is the standard way of how one thing generates another already within the system of creation. And we have that's the scientific method. You look at something, you figure out, where did it come from? What was the process by which it was developed? An example that's brought in Chassidus very often to explain this idea is Seichel and Midas, which is intellect and emotions. Intellect is my understanding and my perception of a situation or of any given entity. And my emotions, my feelings, always will flow from my understanding. So the cause over here is the intellect, and the effect is the emotions. Now, when I look at emotions, I can immediately deduce what the intellect, what its cause is. If I see someone like something, for example, then I can deduce that the person has a positive perception of it. And that is because in cause and effect, there is that relationship, a very close relationship between the cause and the effect. We look at the effect and we realize it is only an extension of its cause. On the other hand, Bria Yesh Mi'ayin, creation of something from nothing, there is this huge gap between the creator and the creation, to the point that there is no relationship between them, and therefore, the created entity, when it looks up at its cause, it sees nothing, because it does not see itself as an extension of that something. So, the same thing is when it comes to God. There are those energies and those divine levels which emanate from God, but they are not created beings because they see themselves only as extensions of God, and therefore they are nullified to God, and these entities are known as godliness. And then there are those things that emanate from God, but they see themselves as independent. These are not godliness, these are creations. What is the line that divides between godliness and creations? Generally speaking, the world of Atzilus is the world of godliness, which is the world of Atzilus does not see itself as a yesh, as an independent entity. And then the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, the three lower worlds, these are creations, which is why the first of these three worlds is known as Bria, as creation, because that is where creation begins. That is generally speaking. More specifically, the Alter Rebbe tells us that within the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, in every single world, there's also a system of 10 attributes. The 10 attributes, all of them contain a body and a soul, or known as Oiris and Kalim, energies and vessels. The bodies of the 10 attributes certainly are creations, and even the souls, the energy of these 10 attributes, the lower levels of them also are creations, but the neshama of them, their very essence of the energies, they also remain godliness, which means that even within our system of created worlds, the neshama of our worlds also is not created, but is a godly entity. Now, we started off today's session, and we also spoke about this previously, saying that the ability to create yesh mi'ayin, the ability to create something from nothing, is only within the power and the hands of the infinite God. Why is that? What is so special about creating something from nothing that only God can do so? The Alter Rebbe will address this question in tomorrow's Tanya.